What's good, world? It's the Great 32T coming to you live. I'm here with a famous writer, soon to be famous writer here around the world. Her name is Joi. Can you please introduce yourself? Tell us your name, your business, and what do you do?
Well, first of all, my name is Joi Kamamoko. That is my name. That is what it says on my birth certificate, I believe. Yes, it does. And so, that's my name. I'm not like a famous writer. I've started writing since I was like 5, and like it's just something that is a part of me. Like we all have that something in us that like we just love to do, and like I've sang before. I haven't traveled singing, but like I got a scholarship to NYU, and that didn't work out very well because I turned it down. Um, and then I was a part of a music group. Like we had a record label and everything, and then that didn't work out very well. So I just writing was just a part of me. So I've been writing since I was 5. I'm from Chicago, Illinois. Yeah, so, Chicago has its, ups and downs, but like that'll always be my
All right.
home. It's just, like with my business, like I had mentioned to you before we started, it was under a different name called MRK Styles. And MRK Styles basically was just the 3 aliases that I went by. M stands for Mila Beckett, R stood for Riley Hunt, and the K stood for Kennedy Keegan. And each of the aliases that I just named went under its own genre. So the books that I started writing when I was little, they would be like short stories, just whatever I can think of. And I never really published any of those. Like I haven't touched them in years. I still have them. I just don't like. I just never published because that was, I was a little kid and I was like, wait, this stuff costs money. And then right around the time when I was 12, one of my great grandmother's church friends was like, well, why don't you just start, self-publishing? So I'm just like, well, I'm doing the research on, how to self-publish. And I'm like, wait, okay, self-publishing. Like there's a couple of sites that say you have to pay for self-publishing, and the others, it's like you just do it. And I didn't know anything about that at the time. So let me fast forward. So in 2014, is when I was just like, well, I'm gonna take my writing. I've in 2014, I'm still writing, still haven't published anything. But in 2018 is when I published my very first book. Let me just say that was a trial and error. It's still good, but it's not like bestseller good, or it's not like, So back in 2014, I started my website for just MRK Styles as a blog and just helping the community. And I did not know how to like manifest that further. I didn't like, it's very time consuming trying to get your like brand out there, like making a name for yourself. So when I would like maybe a couple of times be on the board in arcade styles, and I'd be like posting little things but not really a lot of traction. So like I still grew my following under Mila Beckett on Twitter, and I realized that there was this whole huge writing community that my mentor introduced me to. She was just like, well, when you post things on Twitter or when you post on your social media, make sure you hashtag that specific thing. And so like this I didn't know about, and I'm just like, okay, cool. So as I started doing that in 2014 and 2015 and so on and so forth, I began growing 4,000 followers. Like I
Wow.
went from 14 followers in 2016, 14 followers. Now within like that year and a half, 4,000 followers, and it's like it's teeter-tottering. Like it goes up, then it goes down. But like my goal, like me as a person, I don't really look at the following. Like I wouldn't say I don't trust the following. I don't like, as a person who's trying to like really make an impact in the world, or like just anybody in like individually,
Mhm.
if you want to reach out to somebody and then like you focus on like just making money or making a following or just being heard in a specific way, to me a following isn't really that important, because then people can get lost in that and they forget what they like, the message, like they forget like what's important, their bigger vision. And so with
Mhm.
me, I'm not saying that I don't care about my followers. Like I do. They help me. They like, they uplift me, but that's not like my biggest thing. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? So it's like,
I definitely understand that.
yeah. So it's kind of like I try to balance the two. Like, oh, like I was I was pretty down because like I went from almost 5,000 followers to now being to 4,200 or less than that, and I'm just like, okay, well I'm still great. Like I have a big stance, but like where's the like the love and support? Because I've been doing this not knowing what I'm doing for years. So when I rebranded everything, it took me a while. Like I started rebranding everything like last year to this year, and I came up with the name Bliss Artistries. So it
Hmm.
was actually Bliss Industries, and I'm like, I don't really like industries because it really doesn't click. I really like catchy things. Excuse me. I like to think
Hmm.
of something that'll actually click with what I'm doing and what that'll actually like mean something. So I thought of the name, like I thought of so many names, and my great grandmother, she raised me, and I love her for that. But like I was gonna name it after her, and then I realized that it was gonna be called Ernestine or Evangeline Bliss or something, and then I was like, wait, Evangeline Bliss, and I was like, that's not catchy, but it's there almost. So I'm like in my room just writing down like all of these names that I could think of. And I was like, wait, this name has already been taken. Okay, scratch that off. Okay, this name, this name, this name, scratch, 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 scratch. And then I circle Evangeline Bliss because I'm like, well, my great grandmother's name is Ernestine, but like Evangeline just kind of like flows. And then I'm like, okay, think of something that'll just be, it could be one word, two words, a phrase, or whatever. And then I kind of took off Evangeline, and, but Bliss really stuck because, like, when you think of art and when you think of manifesting that art into something like
Hmm.
beautiful, whether it's singing, dancing, writing, or like speaking, like, it's everything, all of that together is very blissful.
Hmm.
So the artistries came from industries, but industries makes it sound more corporate. And I'm not a
Yeah.
corporate person, but the artistries and being just like creating art and being a creator and like doing what makes you happy as that individual, it kind of clicked. So Bliss Artistries became like this thing, and
Hmm.
it goes on from there. So
That's powerful. That's definitely powerful.
yeah.
So right now, so far as your books that you have, the different services that you may offer, if someone wanted to get in contact with you, what's like the website or the social media, where do they go?
Okay, so that part I have down. It's just like I'm still working out the kinks. So I have a friend who was like, "Oh, I love your website, but you still need to fix some things here." And so the website that they can go to, it's the Bliss Artistries. It's Bliss Artist. It's www.blissartistries.com, and it's just all one word. And artistry, like think of spelling like artistry, but take off the Y and add IES. And then if they like type it in Google, they'll just type in Bliss, like BLISS space, and then artistries, it'll just pop up. The Facebook page will be there, the logo will be there, and it it's just everything is there. I'm just still trying to work out how to like push it more because
Mhm.
everything right now, especially within this pandemic, it's gonna cost money for marketing, and I don't have that. But like that's something that I'm not too worried about. But like in time, like somebody will be like, oh, okay, like she's pretty dope. She's not only a writer, but she's trying to help the community and she's helping others. And the social media, it's basically my personal account, but like like how like Instagram, or I want to use Instagram as an example because they do it best, where you can have your personal account and then like you switch it to your business account. I have
Mhm.
it to where I have my personal Instagram. I just can't log into it, so I just log into my business because I know the password for that, and I just Bliss 24/7 is like what I focus on, and it's like what I love to do. So it's just something. So like where they could basically, if they want to get in touch with me, they can email me. Like they can go on the Facebook, obviously, because we're all like connected socially through like our social medias. And if they're on Facebook, they can just type in Bliss Artistries in the search bar, and the logo will pop up. and I'm trying to remember. And then when they click on the page, they can like view under the About Me page. The link will take them directly to the website, and if they want to email me, it is right there. For business purposes, like I mentioned before, I go by all these different aliases. So I have all my different aliases for my writing, the types of genres of writings that I do. But when I started to make Bliss, I was like, okay, I need to think of something that's, like think of a name that's me, but not too business like. Someone that's like
Hmm.
friendly, like, oh, I want to like, get to know you. And so like Priscilla, I've always liked that name as like for any individual, whether however you want to like say it. So it's
Yeah.
just Priscilla. And then Barnett, I know how to spell Barnett, but the way I spell it, it's like Barrnett, because I like things to be doubled. And even though that's not the way you're supposed to spell it, that's the way I spell it, just to be different
Mm.
and unique. So that kind of what makes my business different and basically me. But it's like, it's not like my business doesn't just define me, it defines the artist.
Oh,
So whoever wants to get in touch with me, I focus on what they want to manifest, or I promote them, or I talk about their stuff and promote them. Like, I know with Facebook, when you have a Facebook page, like if you want to promote, well, I don't have the money to promote it, but like what I'll do is I'll keep sharing it, or I'll keep talking about it. Like that's my way of promoting. Everything doesn't always have to be about promoting things like money wise. So it kind of like that's just the way that I do it, even though that it'll take a few times until somebody like sees it and recognizes it, but like
yeah.
versus then like, hey, if you pay like this amount, then like we'll get it and it'll be out there, and no worries. But like I like to do things different, and it may take longer, but it still is being talked about. But not only do I have to do the promoting, they also have to do the work. So it's
True
basically
that. True
teamwork.
that. So also too, I have to ask you a quick question as well. Within this breakthrough conference show, the platform of the show is really about that breakthrough experience. So if you could just give us like a quick summary about like your breakthrough experience that led you to be this author, to be this writer, to be the person that you are today within the success that you were able to accomplish. Because it's really hard to write. It's really hard to write books and articles and journals and these different things like that. So, what is that breakthrough experience for you as well?
Well, for me, my breakthrough experience is very, very hard to talk about because I get very vulnerable when I talk about it. I've expressed
Hmm.
this to my friends, and a couple of them know this. I like there's so many different versions of me that I don't even know which one is true. But the one that I
Oh,
do know is everything for me started changing at the age of 6, and I talk about that and I tell that to a lot of people. I know, like when we start growing up, we might remember bits and pieces of our life with memories or in our childhood. But for me, I knew that at the age of 6 that like something had to be done. Like I'm a 6-year old, I'm not supposed to be like taking on responsibility, but like I know that it's hard. Like my great grandmother instilled in me that like, hey, you need to start paying attention to things. And I'm like, okay, well, I want to be a child as well, but like also, being like swept away from like
man.
the society itself, it's really hard. So my breakthrough experience, it has like a lot of twists and turns. But the one thing that I did tell my friends, that I've told my friends, is that from age 6 to age 13, I kept silent.
Mm.
I didn't like, and when I say silent, like obviously I would talk and just talk about like things, but when someone asked me how I was feeling, I just kept silent. So for those 7 years, I didn't speak a word about how I was feeling. And so my writing, like I said, I've been writing since I was 5. So my writing just basically tells my story in different ways. And so as I grew up, I was like, okay, I like writing about like horror movies, or like not horror movies, excuse me. I like writing about murder mysteries. And then as I grew up, I really began liking like the erotic side of things, like 50 Shades of Grey or whatever. But I'm like, I wonder if I wrote an erotica that maybe it might be a hit or maybe not. So I have 2 erotics, well, one erotica out, and then the other one is like a murder mystery type erotic thing. But I still need a lot of work. So like I always tell people, if they want to learn how to write, just write. It doesn't have to be perfect, just write. And it can be whether you want to talk about your story or whatever. It doesn't necessarily have to be, because there's not, to me, I don't think there are certain rules to do things. Like there shouldn't be a rule. Like obviously, like follow directions in like other aspects, but when it comes to like writing or dancing, just do it. It's not that hard. And if they're like, well, I don't know how to do it the way you do it, well, you don't do it the way that I do it. I do it because of like this is like me telling my story. If you feel that you want to be like, it's okay to be influenced by somebody, but do it the way that you feel that might draw in an audience, because everybody's not the same. We're all different.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
That's powerful. That's really powerful. And also too, you know, within that breakthrough experience, you know, at the age of 6, you figured out like something needed to be done. And you decided to start speaking your voice through your writing and through these different genres and stories. So also too, right now within your business, you know, because I have a lot of entrepreneurs that look over, you know, these different podcasts and shows that I have here. So if there was, always just give this illustration first. Um, can you imagine like a chain just being shackled, you know, to like your hands or something? And I describe this as the pandemic, this global pandemic kind of like put people aside to where it was like now you have to be locked in the house, you have to wear face masks every time you leave, you know, like, and some people weren't able to really succeed because of the limitations based on society. And if, in order to break a chain, you first must remove one link, and that's how you get your breakthrough. So I give that illustration to help people, you know, understand that if they could ask, you know, for that one chain to be broken, for that one link to be removed within that chain, what is that piece of information they need to help them get to that next level? So right now, everything that you have right now is just phenomenal. It's unique. You know, it's great. You got here through a breakthrough. But if there was one more piece of information that you need, that you could ask my audience or myself, what will that
Well,
question be to get to your next breakthrough?
well, if I was, let me get back to your illustration, because I like to break things down. Because like when something is being like told to me, I have dyslexia, and I got out of the hospital not too long ago, and I've just been in and out of it. So like let me just break this down. So you're saying
Okay.
that like if I was to ask a person if they were shackled, if they wanted to like be, you know, as their breakthrough, what's the one question I would ask? I don't know. This one really got me beat. Let me see here.
All right, let
um
me rephrase it a little bit. Let me rephrase for some clarity. So, like the shackles of a chain, for example, right?
mhm.
In order to break a chain, you must first remove one link, right? So I'm asking you the question, if there was a piece of information, like right now, say you're not like a business wise person, or you need like a marketing element, or you need, you know, ways to take your business to the next level, like what is that for you? Like for example, you know, if you asked that one question, got that answer, and then you were able to scale within your business, like what would that be? What would that one question, you know, be for you?
I think for me, yeah, that actually helps me a lot to answer this. I think for me would be, how do I evolve within society rules? Because like as a people, whether you're black, white, Asian, or whatever, how do you, it's not about like clicking with like your, you know, with your like group, or with what like, or with whatever. And it's not about just like, oh, I have this idea that's similar to yours, but I feel like this is different. I say, the reason I say how do I evolve within, you know, within society's rules, is because society is always changing in a way. Like that may not make sense, but it makes sense to me. The way that society, I mean, like in the, I don't want to go historian or talk about history, but like the way, the way I think about it is like in the 19th century, which was like the era that we grew up in, like those
Mm-hmm.
90s kids or whatever, way back when like Martin was trying to make a difference and Malcolm X was trying to make a difference, they all had the same similar vision, but they went about it their own way. And I feel like, yeah, being unique and being different like really draws people in, but like society is always going to change within like 100 years or so. So like evolving within that particular, like I say, I'll put it as like evolving within that bubble would make it better for not just them to understand, but for you to also grow and learn as a like individual. So that way it'll like you'll be like, okay, so like evolving can be put in many different terms, but like evolving in like oneself or evolving within like the community or like however you want to put it, I think that's the question that I would go with, because society like when we think, okay, take Black Lives Matter for example, it's crazy. We like, and I'm just saying this because I mean I don't feel like I have a right to say this, because like there's another Black individual that could be like, oh well, you don't have a right to say that, because I feel like we all have different opinions. I'm not gonna change your opinion, or I'm not gonna convince you to be like, oh, my way is better, or you should listen to me because A, B, C, and D. We all have our opinions, but the one thing that I want to stand by is I will respect you as long as you respect me. Because the way I see it is how I was like how I grew up in schools, we were always taught to respect others and treat people the way we want to be treated. So like the way we're looking in society, like everybody has their opinions about different things about what's going on. For instance, like Black Lives Matter, and they're like, oh, this is wrong, or justice for this and this. Like I feel like justice is not going to get done until you start evolving within yourself. If this is making sense, because I right now I feel like I'm just rambling on. It's not making sense to me. I have a point.
But
It's
I
just not there.
definitely kind of understand where you're going with that. You know,
Yeah.
you may think like, where do I fit, right now within society, or how do I, evolve myself to get to that next level? I definitely want to speak to you again off camera, but can you
Yeah.
just tell the people that are watching, what is the social media so they can get in contact with you and connected with you one more time before
Okay.
we
So
end the show here?
my social media, if you want to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, my Facebook, you can just type in Bliss Artistries and then it's there. But my Instagram, it's Bliss Artistries _official. And my Twitter, it's at Bliss Artistries, and that's all together.
All right. I appreciate that so much. Definitely stay with me. But to all the fans and all the people watching, I just want to say thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for listening
No
to this
problem.
magnificent story. And if you want more information on the Breakthrough Conference show and how you can be on the show, visit www.thebreakthroughconference.com. It was a truly honor having you here today, Joi. Please stay with me. But
No
thank you, all the
problem.
fans, for watching and tuning in today. I appreciate it.